we actually mounted a 4K TV on the wall to just like be permanently showing the NoGood dashboard all the time. And so we were very much kind of at a loss. We did not have a single growth channel that felt like all we need to do is just find the world's expert in this one thing and slap them on the problem. And I think that was where having the breadth from NoGood was so important to us in the early stages.
Hey Kevin, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for taking the time to doing this. I have a few questions for you today. I want to get a little bit of feedback about how things have been with working with the squad and working with the NoGood squad so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. I think generally one of the things we were always surprised with in working with NoGood was this was our first time with any sort of growth agency. Didn't totally know what the rules of working with an agency were. But we were all really surprised at how like quickly things went from here's this group that we kind of like throw something over the fence to in terms of like the first back and forth to probably 2 or 3 weeks in, it was like these are 5, 6, 7 people who are just on our team. Obviously we kind of have like a main channel to chat with, but even when I was getting pings from teammates and they're like, hey, like Christian sent me this, he said you need to follow up, like we want to move fast, get going. And I was like, wow, like I'm the slow one here. So yeah, the like quickly having the NoGood folks just fully embedded within the team was very surprising.
Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Tell us a little bit more about Unspun. What are you all up to over there?
So I'm the founder of Unspun. We make ultra sustainable and custom built jeans. Very unique consumer shopping experience because we have no sizes, we have no genders even to our products. We just make jeans for humans. But that means that we do a 3D body scan on a phone as an early part of the process. And this has been both advantageous because there's some customers that are like, holy cow, I just cannot find jeans that fit. And this is the only way I probably can find jeans. But it also is a challenge in that this isn't just like direct response, impulse buy, just slap up a random Instagram ad and someone converts. We need people to recognize the value in a $250 product. We need someone to be convinced that going through this process of getting scanned and submitting your measurements and building your jeans is worthwhile. So a very different flow than any of the just like here's how you make a high converting landing page type thing. So we had built the brand fairly organically, growing a lot by word of mouth. As we started to see that top end of where we felt like we could take word of mouth within the size of our network and just kind of linear growth, we raised the seed round of funding, and then we're really thinking about expanding in terms of acquisition and going from less of just a word of mouth reliant process to something that had a bit more drive in terms of marketing. So we were thinking a lot about, do we try to find a single expert that we can bring on? Do we hire maybe 1 or 2 folks, or do we go the agency route and bring in a team of folks that can help us figure things out? And I think the really important one for us was word of mouth is great. And as long as you have a growing customer base, like you can still get linear growth out of that, but it's really hard to organically turn that exponential. And so we were very much kind of at a loss. We did not have a single growth channel that felt like all we need to do is just find the world's expert in this one thing and slap them on the problem. We felt confident that this could grow, but we didn't know the best way to make it grow. And I think that was where having the breadth from NoGood was so important to us in the early stages.
So it's been a few months already, or a while since we started working together. Did you feel like the team have made an impact, particularly on the D2C side of the business that they've been working on, in driving the North Star forward and sort of and really like driving some learnings or insight or whatever sort of North Star that you're all after working collectively with the team? What's your experience with that?
Absolutely. And I think in 2 ways, practically and in even just like the philosophical approach of the team. Prior to working with NoGood, like I said, word of mouth meant just like happy customers. Like happy customers will mean more growth, which to a certain extent, yes. But like I said, it's linear. Once we started working with NoGood, both being able to, have multiple different branches of the team thinking about, okay, let's test all of the standard paid ad acquisition. Now let's start thinking about some of the more experimental ones. Let's look at newsletters, like having a lot of different fields we could test and then immediately see like, wow, this is converting way better than that. Let's follow the path of least resistance. So yes, big drivers and North Star of brand growth from just helping us iterate at probably a 5 to 10x cycle speed than we would have on our own. But I think even more important was the way that NoGood itself is very North Star driven, and being able to kind of internalize that as a team. We had this awesome NoGood dashboard that every meeting and interaction with NoGood was based around, and then it quickly became something that we as a team just kind of adopted. So our own internal meetings were talking about the NoGood dashboard, and then we actually mounted a 4K TV on the wall to just like be permanently showing the NoGood dashboard all the time. And when people walk in the door every day and they see a graph with red and green on it, you don't have to constantly be saying like, hey, this is what we need to do. It's just like kind of naturally aligning. So yes, obviously the like help in building the growth channels, but I think the bigger one that we'll continue to use forever is really being able to kind of align around like measure what matters. And if you're measuring that and that's what's on the board, then everyone can be really aligned and making sure we're all chasing the same thing.
Love it, love it. I also love that you guys got a use out of the dashboard. That's really great to hear. What do you think is the team's like? What do you think is the team's really good at? Like, is there anything, or what do you think of the squad model in general? Sort of the bringing creatives with growth strategists and sort of data analytics and or data science folks to work together with a brand. What do you think of that model collectively from your point of view as someone that have worked with it?
From our experience, we really felt like we had one generalist, absolute world-class expert kind of quarterbacking things from the NoGood side, and then their ability to loop in specialists as needed and as we focused on different areas. And I think that was a really, really powerful combo. I think it doesn't work if you are missing that like excellent generalist kind of to be the QB, because they're the ones kind of coordinating. Like we just didn't have the brand growth marketing experience to quarterback that. So yeah, I was really impressed with the model, particularly because of that combo of like, hey, Unspun, frankly, your SEO backend is just shit, and we're gonna pull in someone to help you because you're not fixing it fast enough for how fast we want to go. And it was like, wow, like that was, holy cow, that makes such a difference. And now we really want to be going all out on this newsletter channel, while at the same time, like, let's test a bunch of different content on TikTok and pull that over. So I think that's what really shined bright for us was the being able to kind of cycle through a bunch of different experts, where had we not worked with NoGood and tried to just build a marketing org internally, you kind of have to bet a lot on like, okay, let's hire a email person, and like, oh, actually that wasn't going to be the one. You don't really get to test the breadth of it. So yeah, being able to kind of like swap in the experts as we cycled through different speeds, there is zero chance we could replicate that outside of this type of model.
Love it, love it. One last question, because I know you got to run here to your next meeting. Would you recommend NoGood to other startups? And I want the sort of the honest, direct sort of feedback and sort of like POV as someone that have had firsthand experience with NoGood.
The first kind of decision flow that we went through, so sharing, I guess, is maybe someone's also in a similar decision-making process, is do it ourselves or go find experts. For us, like our core competencies, this product and this new experience, we don't want to be reinventing marketing. We just want the best marketing folks. So I think that's a really good sign of like, if it's not a core competency, we should go find the experts elsewhere. There's people who do this better than us, and it's great that they do it better than us. Within that, we were kind of like, okay, there's a lot of different groups you can go with. There's the like single, solopreneur guy building his own marketing agency where it's just him. There's some mid-range ones. NoGood definitely for us was the like premium product that we were considering. Yeah, I really think, particularly for groups who are thinking about exploring new channels and making sure that they're getting the most out of all the different ways they can be approaching growth. Don't do things in series, do them in parallel and explore as fast as you can. And yes, it costs money, but you're also living time like 5x speed rather than going through those one at a time. So absolutely think it's worth it if you're willing to invest in doing things the right way. But the speed advantage that you'll get from it on the other side, I think makes the math stupid easy.
And I appreciate you so much for this. This is great. Thank you so much, Kevin.